Welcome to the story that will haunt you. It begins with a simple dare, one I should have never taken. A few years ago, I was in a small, quiet town for work. The locals were friendly, but they all warned me about one thing. Don't go near the old house on Ashwood Road. They called it the Whispering House. People said it was cursed, that anyone who went inside didn't come back the same. Some never came back at all. Naturally, I didn't believe them. So one night, armed with nothing but a flashlight and my phone, I decided to see for myself. When I arrived, the house loomed ahead. 2 stories of rotting wood and black, hollow windows. The front door stood slightly ajar, like it was waiting for me. I stepped inside. The air was thick, damp, and smelled of decay. The floor groaned under my weight, and every step seemed to echo unnaturally, as if the house were amplifying the sound. And then I heard it. A faint whisper coming from somewhere deep inside. It was too soft to make out the words, but it was there. I told myself it was just the wind. But as I moved further in, the whispers grew louder, clearer. Go back, go back. I felt a chill crawl up my spine, but I pushed forward. The hallway led to a staircase, and something about the second floor seemed to pull at me like a silent invitation. I climbed the stairs, my hand trailing the splintered banister. At the top, there were 3 doors. The first 2 rooms were empty, filled with broken furniture and dust. But the third door, it wasn't locked, but it felt heavier than it should have been, as if something behind it was holding it closed. When I pushed it open, the air inside was freezing. The room was empty except for a single chair in the center. On the chair sat an old cassette player. I hesitated, but curiosity got the better of me. I pressed play. At first, there was only static. Then, the whispers returned, louder, overlapping, each voice more desperate than the last. And then they said my name. I dropped the player, my chest tightening with fear. But before I could leave, the door slammed shut behind me. The whispers stopped, and then the scratching began. It started faintly, like nails dragging along the walls, but it quickly grew louder, closer, until it was coming from inside the room. I turned to the door, desperate to get out, but when I reached for the handle, it was ice cold and wouldn't budge. That's when I saw it. In the corner of the room, something was moving. A figure hunched over, its limbs impossibly long, unfolding like a grotesque spider. Its head jerked unnaturally, and when it turned to face me, I saw its eyes. Milky white, unblinking, its mouth twisted into a smile that stretched too far, revealing rows of sharp, uneven teeth. I backed away, pressing myself against the door. "Why did you come here?" it whispered, its voice a guttural mix of rage and amusement. I couldn't speak. My breath came in shallow gasps as it crept closer, its movements jerky, unnatural. When it was only inches away, I felt its cold breath on my face. And then it spoke again. "Stay!" I screamed, throwing myself at the door. It flew open, and I stumbled into the hallway. But the house was different now. The walls were pulsing, the wood blackened and oozing something thick and dark. The whispers were everywhere, louder than ever, overlapping until they became a deafening roar. I ran down the stairs, the thing chasing me, its limbs scraping against the walls. When I reached the front door, I yanked it open and stumbled outside, but instead of the street, I was standing in the same room I had just escaped. The chair, the cassette player, the figure. It smiled at me again, its head tilting as it whispered, "You can't leave." And then the door slammed shut. I was trapped. My heart hammered in my chest as I turned to face the room again. The whispers had stopped, but I could still feel them pressing against my ears like they were coming from the very walls. The figure was closer now, its long limbs scraping the floor as it moved toward me. I backed away, feeling a cold sweat trickle down my neck. It wasn't just a monster, it was something older. Something that had been waiting for me to make a mistake, for me to open that door. And then, as if on cue, the first rays of light began to creep through the cracks in the walls. At first, I thought I was imagining it, but the sunlight grew stronger, spilling into the room. The figure froze, its head jerking toward the light, its twisted form shrinking back from the warmth. The whispers grew frantic, louder, more desperate. I didn't wait to see what happened next. I bolted for the door, my fingers fumbling with the handle. The air seemed to thicken, the shadows reaching for me. But as the sun continued to rise, something strange happened. The darkness that had once swallowed the house seemed to burn away, as if the very light was erasing it. With one final push, the door creaked open, and I was outside, gasping for breath. The sun had fully risen now, casting a soft golden light over the place that had nearly consumed me. The house, the figure, everything was gone. The street was calm, as if nothing had ever happened. My car was parked where I had left it, but the house, it was just an empty plot of land now. No crumbling walls, no eerie structure, nothing. I stumbled forward, trying to process what had just occurred. My mind felt like it was unraveling. Had it all been a dream? A trick of my senses? But as I walked away, an elderly man approached me, his face lined with age and concern. "Are you all right, son?" he asked. "You look like you've seen a ghost." I nodded, too shaken to speak. "You're lucky," he said, glancing toward the empty lot. "Most don't make it out of there, especially after nightfall. That house doesn't just take people, it keeps them. But you got out. That's a rare thing. Don't go back, though. It'll always call you back. And next time, you might not be so lucky." I didn't know what to say. All I could do was walk away, my legs shaking with every step. I never spoke of the house again. I couldn't bring myself to. But sometimes, late at night, when the wind blows just right, I swear I can still hear the whispers waiting for me to make another mistake.